Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, spiritual life coach and your host of this week's Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. This week, procrastination. Why do we battle with it and what is it showing us? From Francis Bacon, begin doing what you want to do now. We're not living in eternity, we only have this moment, sparkling like a star in our hand and melting like a snowflake. And at the end of this episode, there is a breathing practice for you to explore anytime you're feeling fear. From Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, procrastination is the most common manifestation of resistance because it's the easiest to rationalize. We don't tell ourselves, I'm never going to write my symphony. Instead, we say, I'm going to write my symphony. I'm just going to do it tomorrow. So procrastination, what is it all about? Now we know what procrastination is, and just to emphasize again, procrastination is when we know that we have something to do and for some reason we just can't seem to get it done, get started, or even think about it. From Napoleon Hill, procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. Procrastination, if we know that we have something to do and yet we won't do it, there's obviously a deeper problem that we're not addressing, the reasons why we don't want to do the thing that we want to do. And maybe if we look at what it is that we're putting off and think about what the attainment or the completion of that thing would actually mean to us, that might even give us a little bit more of information as to why we're reticent about getting it done. If, for instance, we have to step into a project that will make us more visible, that will put us in a position where people are now coming to us, we have a bigger responsibility, we have a bigger presence, we have more authority. Why would we not want those things? Surely stepping into a greater version of ourselves is an expansion. That should be something good. But if there's something underneath that is holding us back, if we have a thought that makes us believe that we're not worthy of that, or we're not equipped to deal with that additional visibility and what that will mean, because trust me, as everyone knows, visibility then means you're going to get more opinions, and not all of those opinions are favourable. Do you believe that you're going to be able to handle that additional exposure and the criticism that comes with it as well? Also, maybe we're thinking that if we do attain what we want, will we be able to remain ourselves? Will we be able to remain humble? Will we be able to remain likable when we get there? So we create all of these scenarios, and none of these scenarios are based on anything but supposition. We don't know that any of those things are true, and yet we kind of build on these stories as to all of the things and all of the reasons why we shouldn't do what we should do, and we should sit in the state and procrastinate a little bit longer. But the thing about procrastination is it's not that we can just sit and ignore what it is that we're supposed to do. It's a really uncomfortable state because there's always this thing on your shoulder. There's always this nagging feeling that something needs to be done and you are not addressing it. It's impossible to ignore. So what we need to do is really unpick what we're feeling at the core of ourselves. We need to look at those false beliefs that we have about our identity, and then we'll find that whatever is keeping that procrastination in place will disappear because it'll be irrelevant at that point. From William Nevins, procrastination has been called a thief, the thief of time. I wish it were no worse than a thief. It's a murderer, and that which it kills is not time merely, but the immortal soul. And that's from his book, Practical Thoughts. So how does procrastination show up in our thoughts? What are we thinking? Maybe we're thinking that we don't know what to do. We don't know how to do what we've been charged to do, which may be true and we can always find out. Or maybe in that belief is we've got to think, if we've been tasked with something, whether it's an inspiration or someone has given us the responsibility to complete a task, there is some belief that we are able to attain that. And while it might take a little bit of work and learning and expansion, education of ourselves, that we have the capability to do those things. We then think that we don't have the initiative to get started, or then we decide that we actually don't really want to do it, or we don't even care if we do it or when we do it. And we just keep giving ourselves all of these reasons to languish in this uncomfortable state of procrastination. Or we'll say that we're not feeling in the mood to do it, or we'll leave it till absolutely the last minute and convince ourselves that we're more productive under pressure. And while give a busy person something to do and they'll get everything done, why not give yourself the time to actually be very specific and detailed about the things that you want to do? Unless you're an expert at what you're doing, which if you're a procrastinator, you're not, because you're clearly not believing that you have the skills to get these things done. If this is something new for you, why do you want to leave it till the last minute? You don't know what problems, issues are going to come up. You don't know what things you're overlooking. You may make a load of mistakes that if you took time over it, you'd be able to really be specific and detailed and deliver amazing work or finished project or whatever it is that you're trying not to do. Thinking that you can finish things at the last minute, maybe you can, but it's highly unlikely that it's going to be your best work unless you've done it time and time again, by which means you would not be a procrastinator. Another thing that I've heard a few times before when trying to collaborate with people is, and this is a very kind of spiritual bypassing way of explaining away your procrastination, is saying that you're waiting for the universe, you're waiting for divine timing. And while that may also be the case, talking from experience is divine timing and help and assistance from the universe only actually ever really starts the minute that I start to take action on the thing that I'm supposed to take action on. When I start stepping forward, despite all of my thoughts and fears and misgivings about whether I can achieve what I want to do, as long as I start to take action, then I find that I actually start to get assistance from places that I couldn't even have imagined. It's just in the motion of moving forward into what I'm supposed to do, then the assistance comes from all sides. And also, if you've ever procrastinated, you might find that instead of doing what you're supposed to do, there's been many a time I've sat counting the blinks of a cursor on a blank screen on the computer, and then suddenly I think that cleaning the bathroom is the most important thing to do at that particular point in time. So, we can find all the things that we need to do other than what it is that we need to do at the time. And also, procrastination is a way of kind of getting away from the stress of and the overwhelm that you may be feeling about the task that you need to do. Instead of sitting there and thinking about all the things that you can or cannot do and what it's going to make of you, if you find something else to do, maybe cleaning the shower is the less stressful option, but it's only momentary, because then you'll come back to realizing you still haven't completed what you're supposed to do. And then now you've got that added guilt on yourself and the shame of not delivering and all of the things. It just gets heavier and heavier. From Dennis Waitley: procrastination is the fear of success. People procrastinate because they are afraid of the success they know will result if they move ahead now. Because success is heavy, it carries a responsibility with it. It's much easier to procrastinate and live in the someday I'll philosophy. And you may hear of people that say, I'm a perfectionist. I need everything to be right before I put things together. Here's a newsflash for you. Perfectionism is just another nice twisty way of hiding behind your procrastination, because there is nothing that is launched that is ever perfect. If we think of the majority of things that we use now in our daily lives, we all have smartphones pretty much. Most of us will have TVs, or there's pretty much everything that we use has been a version, a system update of the previous one. So imagine if we then had the people who brought these technologies to us not launch the first version, because I think when I had my first mobile phone, and I was a late adopter, the things that your phones do now, in fact, the phone aspect of our phones is probably less than 10% of the use that the majority of us use for that. And imagine that when mobile phones first got launched, if the person just said, I'm not going to launch it because I'm not able to take pictures on it, I'm not able to WhatsApp my friends. Like when the first phones came out, they didn't even have messaging of any description. I'm not able to go onto any of my favorite apps. There's no social media. In trying to get things perfect, in trying to get them to the ultimate aim, if you're holding back, you're missing out on bringing everyone on that journey and also launching things that are not fully completed. And that's not to say that you don't do your best, but not launching things because they're not perfect. Sometimes you don't know the areas that need perfecting until you launch out into the world and then start to get feedback. It's in the feedback from your users. It's in them going, I really like the way that this works. However, I want to do this. How can you make that happen for me? And these might be areas that you may not have thought of. So a lot of the time we need the feedback. We need to launch something that's not perfect in order to get the feedback from the people that we're trying to serve so that we can actually expand on our idea or what it is that we're trying to do. Waiting for that perfect launch of whatever it is, that day's never going to come. From Janet Daly, some day is not a day of the week. So what is it showing us, procrastination? In the moments, in the times where I've been kind of very reticent about moving forward on things, a lot of the time is coming down to that fear of moving forward and asking myself why. Why have I got that fear of moving forward? And it's just a fear of having a bigger version of myself come, giving myself a limit to the ability that I have to achieve or create or push forward, and holding myself within that limited space, as uncomfortable as it is, setting myself a ceiling and deciding that I'm not going to go past that, and using everything, all the things in the world before I would go forward and actually try to achieve what it is I've said that I wanted to achieve. So now that we've identified our procrastination and we're getting to the point where we're kind of sick and tired of being in this procrastinating state, how do we work to overcome that? From Theodore Roosevelt, in a moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing to do. The next best thing is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing. So let's break it down and let's make it super basic on what we can do. We're probably a lot of the time looking at this big mountainous task that we have to do and being overwhelmed by the completion of it. Remember, nothing occurs and nothing comes into the world fully formed. As I said, the way that you eat an elephant is that you take a bite. And in the same way, the way that you would climb a mountain is you're at the foot of the mountain. Instead of looking up and wondering how you're going to get there, you see where you are in front of you and you start to take a small step. And the way that you can do that with your tasks is break it down into pieces, make a to-do list of all the things that you need to do to just kind of chunk away very manageably at this big task ahead of you. And also, if you give yourself enough lead time, you'll find that if you're just doing a task in a small way, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, you'll be able to get these tasks done and move forward. And one of the things that I always find is when you're breaking things down into baby steps, when you're breaking things down into, say, I'm just going to work on this for 10, 15, 20 minutes today, once you actually get into the doing, you find that you get so immersed in it that you'll spend 3 times as much time. You'll get an hour's work done and it won't feel like anything. And you'll start to feel that self-satisfaction and that appreciation of yourself for actually taking the step despite all of the noise in your mind and all of the fear. And then also, as you're moving forward, it doesn't mean that your procrastination is just going to magically poof away things are still going to occur, things are still going to come up. So just be aware of any thoughts of any urges of procrastination that arise, when you're just about to start something and suddenly you think, oh, actually I could do with having something to eat. I mean, if you're hungry, eat. But if you feel that you're just getting distracted by the task, or if suddenly you think that you do need to clean the bathroom when you've just put yourself down to go, let's just do 10 minutes of work today. So just allow yourself to give yourself, just notice those feelings, but recognize that those feelings are coming up, and just be like, okay, we'll give into that, but why don't we just try 10 minutes of this thing and then we'll go and clean the bathroom. Also, another way to overcome this is to make sure that you don't have the things that will pull you off kilter. Eliminate your distractions. If you work online, it is very tempting distraction just to go and check the IG and see what's happening in the world. You can set your browser so that these things don't open on certain times. You can make sure your apps are not on the devices that you're working on, if that's what you're doing. It's very easy to just want to see what's happening. Turn off your notifications. If you can, also just play some kind of tones or solfeggio tones or affirmations or something really low in the background. Some focused music if you go onto sites like Spotify or even on YouTube, and find if they've made playlists for music or ambient sounds that will just create an atmosphere of focus for you, and bathe in that kind of sound while you're doing the tasks. And also give yourself props, give yourself acknowledgement that you've actually done the task. The more that you can actually see that, yeah, I'm a known procrastinator to myself, but what I've done today is I actually chunked down and I got something done. And, that to-do list, I'm forever making lists myself. There's nothing more satisfying than checking a box or crossing a line and seeing that you've actually achieved what it is that you want to achieve. And ultimately, know that you wouldn't be tasked with an idea, you wouldn't have the inspiration to do it if it wasn't for your better good to actually step into that and create what you've been charged to create. It's in stepping forward into that thing that you're going to become just a greater expression of yourself, and you'll remember the days when you used to procrastinate. So just start. From Victor Hugo: he who every morning plans the transactions of that day and follows that plan carries a thread that will guide him through the labyrinth of the most busy life. From Alexander Graham Bell: the only difference between success and failure is the ability to take action. Thank you for listening to that episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. It's such an interesting topic, and I've been there multiples of times and I'm getting better, but there's every now and again where you're just like, maybe I can just tomorrow, next week, but things are getting busier for me, so I actually don't have the option and the luxury of procrastination, and also neither do I want to. One thing I will say, to hopefully inspire you more to move into the things that you want to do, is the more that I do create despite those nagging, lagging little feelings, and just put stuff out there, the better the feedback that I get, that actually feeds me to not want to procrastinate as much. I'm getting better. So if you haven't already, do check out Embody Higher Energetic Resonance, which is the free journey 3 steps closer to be the woman of your dreams. So if you've ever wanted more in life, to do more, to be more, and you keep finding that you're not stepping into that space and not taking action, i.e. procrastinating, this might help you. And it's 3 steps closer to being the woman of your dreams. Gentlemen, do feel free to take it. It's not necessarily women-centric. It's just that I realised that more women listen to me than men. I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. But what you'll get over the course of a week is a daily guide and visualisation from me, and it's getting you into the energy of being what it is you want to achieve. Too often, the reason that we're not able to take steps is because we're looking at it from a present state, as opposed to being in the energy of who we are and what we feel like once we've achieved that, if you get into that state and then you're able to actually move along with your dreams as opposed to push and crawl towards them, it's a different state. It's a shift in energy and it's a shift in perception. It makes all the difference. So the links to that are in the show notes, and also you can reach out to me on my website about any other things. My website is carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaewhittick.com. Find me on Facebook, Carol May Whittick, and also on Instagram, Casmic, Cazmick. So I leave you with this meditation and breathwork practice just to help you work through any fears, especially when you're trying to get something done and you're coming up against this procrastination piece. So until the next week, enjoy. Fear is what we experience if we perceive ourselves to be in danger. This can be physical, emotional, psychological. The fear can be real or imagined. While fear is an important factor to help keep us safe, being in fear long term is detrimental to our quality of life. While we're in fear, our breathing is often affected. We can experience shortness of breath, hold our breath, depriving our bodies of oxygen, or hyperventilate, which activates the sympathetic nervous system, increasing the heart rate, raising the blood pressure, therefore making us feel more anxious. Fear takes us out of the present moment as we imagine all the potential dangers ahead of us. When we can bring our awareness back to the present and ground ourselves, we will realize that at this moment we are safe and in control. We are then able to calmly and objectively address our thoughts and then take the relevant action if needed. The breathing pattern I will be guiding you through today is often called box breathing. You will inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale for 4 counts. Over time, as your capacity grows, you may choose to increase the count. Embedded in this track is the solfeggio frequency 396 Hz. Because of its ability to alleviate the feelings of guilt and fear, making space for us to experience the joys and endless possibilities of life. So first, find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed for the next 15 minutes. Sit on the floor or sit in a chair that fully supports your back. Before we begin, let's scan your body and notice if you are holding any areas of tension. Make sure your feet are placed on the ground. You can wriggle your toes or circle your ankles to release any tension and relax. Imagine your feet sinking into the ground. Slowly bring your awareness up to your calves. Feel them soften as the tension falls away. Up to your thighs again, releasing the weight of your body into the ground. Let any tension fall away from your spine and allow your back to relax. Let your arms be heavy and your hands rest on your thighs. See any tension fall down your shoulders and your arms. You can gently circle your shoulders and your hands and your wrists in one direction, and now in the opposite way. Envision your head resting lightly on the top of your neck. Allow your jaw to hang relaxed and let go of any tension you feel around your mouth and your lips. Let your tongue lie gently in your mouth. You can rest the tip of your tongue behind your teeth. Soften your cheeks. Feel the relaxation in your forehead and your brow. Now bring your attention to a point below your navel. This is the area you will be directing your breath to. It may be helpful to hold one of your hands gently against this area as a guide, so that when you breathe into this area, you'll want to see your hand move slowly outward and then return inward with your inhale. As you breathe, allow yourself to observe as the cooling sensation of your breath passes through the inner walls of your nostrils. So let us practice. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Now continue at your own pace. Allow your breathing to fall into its natural inhale and exhale pattern. Notice that any feelings of fear and anxiety are not present in your body at this time. Know that you are safe. Know that you are supported. Hold that feeling with you as you meditate for the rest of the track.